After 10 years apart, he invited his ex-wife to mock her. What she revealed changed everything. Tom stared at the reunion flyer pinned on his hardware store's bulletin board, heart pounding like a war drum. 10 years since the divorce, the day everything felt as if it splintered into 1,000 hard pieces. And now, Sarah was coming back to Maplewood. The little town wasn't exactly thriving, but for her, it seemed like a launch pad for her dreams. He remembered her ambitions, how she used to talk about helping others. But now she was running a nonprofit for veterans. A part of him wanted to invite her, not out of genuine curiosity or warmth, but to expose the holes in her life, to mock the success that felt like another world. He needed to prove he was still winning, or at least playing the game with a full deck. As the reunion drew closer, he found himself caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. He had already planned to unveil his life through boastful stories: the bustling hardware store, the loyal employees, and the community behind him. But as the day approached, doubts crept in. Was he really winning, or were his victories just smoke and mirrors? He wrestled with pride that felt more like insecurity, grappling with how to face the woman who, in his mind, had it all figured out. The day came, and as he walked into the town hall, the scent of fresh paint mingled with nostalgia. Then he saw her. Sarah. She stood out not just in her crisp blue dress, but in her confident stride, the air around her charged with purpose. It stung. He couldn't help but feel exposed, as if she was peeling back his layers to reveal the disappointment inside. As they settled into easy conversation, Tom threw subtle jabs at her choices, expecting her laughter to turn to discomfort. Instead, she listened, her eyes clear and unwavering. When she spoke, it was with conviction and pride. She shared stories of veterans she helped, each one a battle fought in a world he never truly understood. Her laughter became a melody he wanted to drown out. They just want to belong, she said, her voice steady, to find purpose again. Tom's calculated laughter grew quiet. He wasn't sure how to respond. Her resilience, her sacrifices, illuminated layers he had never bothered to peel back. Was success just about the bottom line, or was it bigger than he had ever imagined? In that moment, the weight of his own choices pressed heavy on his chest. Here they were, two paths forged into something unrecognizable, yet somehow still connected. A flood of regret crashed through him as he realized how skewed his views were. Her journey was much more challenging than he'd ever acknowledged. He had merely been counting numbers, folding bills while she had been building lives. Just then, a palpable tension hung in the air, filled with unspoken words. You don't know how hard it was, she finally said, her voice a notch above a whisper. Tom felt the foundations of his bravado quaking beneath him. Was it luck, or had she poured her heart into reassembling other people's dreams, including those they once shared? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tom opened his mouth to dismiss her achievements as mere chance, but the words caught in his throat. The memories flooded back, the dreams they once shared against a backdrop of fading sunlight. All the laughs, the hopes, were they lost in the wake of scattered paths? With Sarah right there, looking him in the eye, a deep question emerged. Could he truly set aside his pride and acknowledge the sacrifices that had built the foundation of their dreams together? The moment hung between them, a fragile thread waiting to snap. Tom felt the urge to run, yet the longing for understanding kept his feet anchored in place. What lay ahead? Would he confront the truth that seemed to bubble beneath everything? Tom's heart raced as Sarah's words sank in. He finally looked closer at her, really looked. The time apart had carved her into someone unrecognizable, and yet familiar. There was a depth in her gaze, a fire kindled by 10 years of struggles he hadn't cared to understand. The thing was, he never bothered to ask. He never wanted to see the world through her eyes. Tom, Sarah's voice sliced through the haze of his thoughts. The work I do, it's complicated. Every day, I see the scars that others carry. But it's also full of hope. It made me who I am. You thought I was just chasing a dream? He swallowed hard. the lump in his throat banging against the pride he held onto for too long. "I don't know what I thought," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I guess I thought you let go of everything we wanted." Her expression softened but remained steadfast. "We both did. But you know what? I learned that letting go doesn't always mean giving up. Sometimes, it means finding a new path. Maybe you can understand that too." As the words hung between them, he felt something shift. There was a tug, a beckoning, not just to remember what they once had, but to understand the buried hope of what could still possibly exist. Moments passed where all the laughter and tears of their past swirled around them like an unseen breeze. It was a cocktail of nostalgia and realization, mixed with the bittersweet flavor of regret. "But what if those paths don't converge again?" Tom blurted out, unable to mask the tremor in his voice. "What if we're just done?" The question echoed in the air. For a brief instant, it felt like the walls of the town hall pressed in around them. But then Sarah leaned in, her eyes bright and determined. "I refuse to believe that. We're still here. Our stories are still being written. Who knows? Maybe this reunion is just the beginning of a new chapter." She was unwavering, and though doubt still swirled inside him, he felt the corners of his mouth lift. Sarah had always been like that, a force of nature, a reminder of what life could be if you dared to hope. Yet how could he even think about a new beginning when the specter of the past haunted him? "Sarah, I have regrets," he admitted, his voice cracking. "So many regrets." She nodded, her expression softening. "We all do, Tom. But maybe it's time to share them. Maybe it's time to talk." Her words struck a chord deep within him. The possibility of sharing his burdens, of lifting that weight, felt both freeing and terrifying. Would you consider sitting down, just the two of us?" He heard himself ask, surprised by his own boldness. "Maybe start from the beginning, or wherever we need to start." A smile tugged at her lips, a glimmer of understanding lighting her eyes. "I'd like that." But as they exchanged smiles, the moment burst with unspoken fears and hopes. The crowd of familiar faces swirled around in celebration, yet Tom felt isolated within his own thoughts. What if he opened up and it only led to more pain? What if the ghosts of their past still held sway? The night was still young, and the uneasy atmosphere in the room lingered, wrapping around them like a haze. As laughter erupted among former classmates, their voices faded into a distant hum. Tom was staring into the abyss of choice. Would he walk forward into the unknown that lay beneath the surface of their history? Or was he fated to lose himself in the parade of missed chances? "Do you think people can change?" Tom asked suddenly, half hoping for reassurance. Sarah met his gaze, her smile fading slightly. "I think change is always possible, but it takes courage. Are we ready to find out?" And as the question loomed over them, Tom recognized this wasn't just about their future. It was about facing every fear that had kept him shackled for so long. The answer hung in the air, waiting for him to take the leap. But was he ready? Tom took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The music swelled around them, a background noise to the whirlwind of thoughts surging in his mind. He could still feel Sarah's gaze, fierce and unyielding, challenging him to confront the ghosts that had held him captive for too long. "Let us find a quieter place," he finally suggested, gesturing towards the exit. "I think we need to talk, truly talk." Sarah nodded, her expression shifting from hopeful to contemplative. With one last glance at the reunion festivities behind them, the joy, the laughter, the memories of friends, Tom led her out into the crisp night air. The world felt vast and, at that moment, impossibly small. They stepped outside into a gallery of stars, the cool breeze nudging him into action. Silence draped over them, a pause before unveiling buried truths. Tom felt exposed under the weight of the night, his heart hammering in his chest. "Do you remember that summer? The one where we decided to travel to the coast?" He prompted suddenly, as if nostalgia could bridge the years apart. Her lips curled into a fond smile. "How could I forget? You insisted on driving the whole way so we could save money. And we got lost 3 times. Laughter bubbled between them, the familiar warmth igniting something in him he thought long extinguished. It was a reminder of their connection, a fleeting sense of comfort prompting him to push through the shadows. "Yeah, and you were so mad at me for that one detour," he chuckled, shaking his head. "But even that time I felt happy." Happy. The word lingered in the air, heavy with significance. What happened to that happiness, Tom? He shifted, feeling the burn of shame creeping up his neck. I lost it. I lost us. The admission fell out like a confession he had been denying for years. I thought I could win at life without you, that I'd be fine on my own. But I wasn't. His honesty hung there, thick and tangible. Sarah's eyes softened, and for the first time, he noticed the shadows beneath them, traces of sleepless nights and hard decisions she had endured alone. Life can be brutal, she breathed, her words barely cutting through the silence. I've had my fair share of struggles, but I learned something important, that we can't do it alone. Tom rubbed the back of his neck, feeling exposed. And that's what I always feared, being vulnerable. I thought if I kept everything bottled up, I could control it. Control my life. Control the pain. Sarah stepped closer, the space between them flooding with unspoken possibilities. But there's strength in honesty, in vulnerability. Maybe we could start there? He looked deep into her eyes, searching for any hint of doubt. But all he found was sincerity. Are you really willing to do that with me? To dig into the past? Why not? We owe it to ourselves to try. And who knows, maybe we'll find more than just our old selves in the process. The hope in her voice sent a tremor through him. It scared him, this idea of revisiting their history, but it also invigorated him. He realized he wanted to know her, the woman she had become. Maybe, just maybe, he could share his burdens with her and find the start of something new. Then let us do it, he said, his heart pounding against doubt. Let us talk. Really talk. With that, they turned away from the past and faced the unknown that lay ahead. A mixture of apprehension and exhilaration coursed through him as he took her hand, a connection re-established after years. Together, they would delve into the chapters of their shared story that remained unwritten. But as they stood there, ready to unravel the secrets that had kept them apart, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper awaited them. He felt it thrumming just beneath the surface, an invitation to a journey that could change everything. Sarah, he asked, his voice steady but laced with uncertainty. What if digging into these scars only exposes new wounds? She squeezed his hand, the warmth igniting courage. Perhaps, but sometimes, those new wounds are the key to healing the old ones. And as the night stretched out before them, a vast canvas of possibility, Tom knew they had taken the first step. But the real question loomed ahead. Could they brave the journey together? Tom felt the chill of the night breeze wrap around them as they stood at the edge of the familiarity their past, it seemed, right at their fingertips. He squeezed Sarah's hand tightly, the gesture grounding him as he contemplated the weighty question that hung between them. Okay, he began, clearing his throat. Let us unravel the threads. You first. Sarah blinked, surprise etched across her features. But then a flicker of determination sparked in her eyes. Fine, but where do I start? Let us go back to when everything began to change, he suggested, his heart racing with the vulnerability he was about to expose. What do you remember about the day we decided to move in together? The day we painted the first wall? A smile broke through her uncertainty as she recalled. We fought about the color for hours. You wanted that bright green, and I was so against it. But in the end, we compromised on eggshell. Her laughter rang out, but beneath it lay the sense of something unhealed. Tom leaned against the nearby railing, willing himself to be as open as she was. Do you remember how excited we were? How we thought we could conquer anything together? Yeah, she replied, her smile faltering. But then we started drifting. Life became heavier. The dreams we had seemed to fade. Tom felt the weight of her words. They had both felt it. I thought it was just the stresses of work. That busy life was supposed to be our foundation, not our destruction. It was more than that, Tom. Sarah turned serious, her gaze unwavering. You started pulling away. I could see it, the late nights, the phone calls you would take outside, the way you stopped sharing your thoughts with me. I felt like I wasn't enough to keep you grounded. Her honesty struck him like a thunderclap. He had buried his fears, and in doing so, had pushed her into shadows. I thought I needed to protect you from my burdens. I thought stepping back would be what you wanted. Sarah shook her head, and I thought I could hold it all together. But it only broke us. We lost what we had. That connection we cherished? Right. The silence stretched, and Tom winced as memories flooded back. Arguments, silent dinners, the moment they both stood in their living room, knowing things couldn't stay the same. I took you for granted, didn't I? I thought we were invincible. Her eyes glistened, but she gathered herself. We were young and reckless, filled with dreams. But dreams need nurturing, not neglect. I thought we'd find a way back. Tom stepped closer, sensing how vulnerable they both were feeling. And now? Do you think we can still find a way? I don't know, she admitted softly. But I'm willing to try. But it can't just be one-sided. We have to share everything, even the moments we regret. He took a deep breath, the responsibility weighing heavy. Okay, I'm ready. I want to share it all. The connection crackled between them, a spark igniting hope amidst the uncertainty. For a moment, everything felt possible again, a whisper of what could be rekindled. Just then, a couple walked by, their laughter drifting through the night air, a contrast to the heavy conversation. It reminded Tom that life continued, indifferent to the struggles in their hearts. Do you think they're just as lost? He asked, nodding towards the couple, who seemed blissfully unaware of the turbulent paths others had walked. Everyone carries something, Sarah replied thoughtfully. It's how we confront it that defines us. Tom nodded, reflecting on the truth of her words. They had taken the first step back toward one another, but the path ahead would not be easy. Can we really bear everything together? He whispered, fear creeping back in. Only if we're honest. And it starts now, she responded, her voice steady, yet filled with emotion. As they stood under the starlit sky, Tom realized that both the risk and the promise ahead held an equal measure of weight. He locked eyes with Sarah, knowing their journey had only just begun, weaving their stories tightly once more. But as he opened his mouth to share the first secret of many, a distant sound caught his attention. A familiar melody floated through the air, pulling at his heartstrings. It was their song, a tune filled with memories of better times. Can you hear it? He asked, eyes widening. Yeah, she said, a smile beginning to spread across her face. What if that song is a sign? Before he could finish, he realized the echo of the past was whispering a new beginning. But would the cadence of their old song lead them to a new harmony, or would it bring up unresolved pain lurking in the depths? The melody wrapped around them like a soft embrace, the kind that felt both familiar and bittersweet. Tom's heart raced. The last time he heard that song, they were in their tiny living room, dancing under the glow of string lights, oblivious to the world. Do you remember that night? He asked, breaking the thick silence that reigned. How you laughed when I tripped over the coffee table. Sarah nodded, her smile radiating warmth. You turned so red, but we just kept laughing. It was like nothing else mattered. Everything was simpler then, Tom said, the weight of nostalgia heavy in the air. How did we let that slip away? A flicker of doubt crossed her face. Life got in the way, Tom. It was a slow slide into routine. We forgot to be us. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. I didn't want to lose you, but I guess I didn't know how to show it. I thought time would heal things. Time can heal wounds, Sarah replied, her tone gentle, but it can also deepen them if we let it. We have to be brave enough to confront what hurts, rather than just letting it linger. Tom felt a wave of realization hit him. So what now? How do we confront this? Her eyes sparkled under the starlight. We start small. Share something we've tucked away, something that still stings. He hesitated, every instinct telling him to hold back. But the sincerity in her eyes urged him on. There was a time when you would share everything. Why did that change? Maybe we both changed, she whispered. But I think it's time we let go of fear. I'm ready to share. With a deep breath, Tom dove in. All right, I'll start. There was a night right before the last big fight. I'd just come home from that work dinner, and I saw you sitting on the couch with tears in your eyes. You were so beautiful, yet so broken. I wanted to reach out, but I froze. Her expression shifted, sorrow washing over her. I remember that night. I felt so alone. I thought you didn't notice me anymore. I did notice, Sarah. I was just too scared to confront what was breaking us. I thought I was being strong by not burdening you with my worries. Her voice trembled as she replied, and I thought I could bear it all. I thought being brave meant hiding the pain, not facing it. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was filled with an understanding neither of them had anticipated. What if we'd chosen differently? Tom asked, the question hanging in the air. Maybe we would still be dancing, she replied softly, her gaze distant, lost in what could have been. The song faded, but its echoes remained, intertwining with their emotions, a ballad of lost hopes and new possibilities. Do you believe we can rebuild? Tom probed. the vulnerability of his voice raw. "I want to believe," she said, tilting her head slightly, a trace of uncertainty threading through her words. "But it'll take more than just wanting. It'll take action." He swallowed hard, the truth resonating deep within. "Then let us act. We can get to the heart of all of this. Together." Just then, a slight breeze rustled the leaves overhead, almost as if the universe itself was affirming their decision. Sarah's smile brightened, yet a shadow flickered across her face. "What's the catch?" Tom took a step back, feeling the apprehension settle around them like a fog. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what unspoken scars do I bring to the table? Because I'm not perfect either, Tom. I have my own ghosts." The weight of her words struck him hard. The uncertainty began to creep back in, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. He opened his mouth to respond, but the words caught in his throat. "Does that scare you?" she asked, tilting her head in expectation. "Yes," he admitted, honesty flooding him. "But maybe it's a good kind of fear, a chance to confront it all." As they stood beneath the starlit night, the sweet scent of blooming jasmine mixing with the chill in the air, Tom felt the enormity of their journey ahead. Would they be able to face the ghosts together? But before he could commit to an answer, another melody floated on the breeze, one he recognized, one that whispered of closure and redemption. "Sarah," he said, his breath catching. "Do you hear that?" It's different this time. Her eyes widened, and a match of hope ignited within them. What if it's urging us on? Was this the sign they had both been waiting for? And as that question lingered in the air, Tom felt a tremor of uncertainty about what would be revealed next. Would they hold on to their dreams? Or would the shadows of the past prove too heavy to bear? Tom took a moment, letting the sound wrap around him. It felt less like music and more like a heartbeat, alive and pulsing. The song danced through the night air, carrying memories and untold promises. He looked at Sarah, whose eyes mirrored a kaleidoscope of emotions: curiosity, fear, hope. "What if we danced again?" he asked, the words slipping out before he could second-guess them. Her brow raised, surprise mingling with a hint of laughter. "Now? Here? In front of all these stars?" "Yes," he chuckled softly. "Why not? What better way to start anew than with a dance?" Without waiting for a response, he took her hand, gently guiding her to where the grass was soft beneath their feet. A tentative pause hung in the air, as if the cosmos were holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. As the music swelled around them, Tom wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close. It felt surreal, like stepping back into a fading photograph. As they swayed, he let himself get lost in the rhythm, inhaling the scent of jasmine and her shampoo, the familiar smell that had once been his greatest comfort. But then, questions stole the moment away. It wasn't just about the dance or the song. It was about stepping into a future filled with uncertain outcomes. "What if we mess this up again?" he whispered, the vulnerability in his voice cutting through the melody. "We've messed up before, Tom," she replied softly, her forehead resting against his. "But we're here now, trying to work it out. That's what matters." He felt her breath tickle his skin, grounding him to the moment, erasing his fears for just a little while. But the shadows of the past still lurked at the edges of his mind. The ghosts, they don't just vanish in a dance. How do we face them? "We confront them together," she said, pulling back to look into his eyes. "Every messy part of us." Tom nodded, realizing that this dance, however sweet it may be, was only the beginning. It was not about forgetting, but remembering differently, painting over the old, darker strokes with bright, vibrant colors of trust and love. As the last notes of the song faded into silence, he felt different, stronger. He wanted to share everything, even the dirtiest parts of their hearts. "There's something else I've carried with me," he confessed. "After you left, I fell apart. I lost myself, trying to hold on to our past." Her gaze softened. "What do you mean?" "I couldn't date anyone. The thought of being with someone else felt like betrayal. I thought I could never love again the way I loved you." Sarah's eyes glistened, reflecting the light of the stars. "You're here now, Tom. That says something. We're both trying. But what if it's not enough?" he asked, a familiar ache creeping back. "What if it is?" she countered. "What if it's everything we need? We have to take this one moment at a time." A breeze rustled around them, and for the briefest of moments, Tom felt an overwhelming sense of clarity. If rebuilding meant embracing discomfort, then so be it. He would tell her everything, every secret, every doubt. But before he could dive deeper, Sarah stepped back, her expression shifting again to something more serious. Tom, I need to tell you there's something I've been holding back too. Something about why I left. His heart raced. It was a declaration he had both longed for and feared. What is it? He asked, barely able to catch his breath. It's about what happened that night, the real reason I thought we were falling apart. Her words hung heavy in the air, and with each passing second, the anticipation grew. What would she say? Would this revelation be the damning truth or the pivotal moment they needed to move forward? And as that question loomed over them, Tom felt time stand still. Would this buried truth deepen their bond, or would it threaten to shatter the fragile resolve they had just begun to build? Sarah took a deep breath, the air thick with her unspoken truth. I thought you didn't want me anymore, she whispered. Each word carried a weight that echoed in the stillness of the night. That night when I saw you with someone else, it broke something inside of me. The cool breeze swept around them, and Tom felt a shiver run down his spine. He started, but the words got caught in his throat. He had been so consumed by his own heartbreak that he hadn't realized how his actions had impacted her. She continued, her voice trembling slightly. I didn't know how to face you after that. I thought if I left, me being gone would protect us both from more hurt. But it only made things worse. I never stopped loving you, Tom. Pain and understanding wove through Tom's chest, battling for dominance. I thought I was being honest by pushing you away. I didn't want to hurt you more. I thought you deserved someone whole. Well, maybe we both needed a little more brokenness to finally understand. She shifted her weight, meeting his gaze squarely. I've spent years trying to figure out who I am without you. And I felt like I was losing myself, like I was running away from the best part of me. So much of my heart wanted to come back, but I was too afraid. Tom felt the tears prick at his eyes. Fear can be a heavy chain, he said, letting the weight of his own fears slip to the ground. But maybe we can break free together. A flicker of hope illuminated Sarah's features as she stepped a little closer, their shared history settling around them like a warm blanket. What do you think that looks like, Tom? It looks like honesty, he replied, his voice quieter now, but steady. It looks like taking risks and maybe even stumbling. It's about having the guts to move forward while looking back. His heart thundered as he said these words. It was vulnerable and scary to open up, but it felt right. Every moment they had previously spent apart had led them here, to this dance of vulnerability and raw emotion. I want to share everything with you, he confessed, feeling a surge of adrenaline. I want to be honest about my dreams, my fears, all the mistakes I've made. Sarah's eyes searched his, and he could see the flickers of hope sparking to life again. And I want to listen, she said softly. I want to share my fears and finally put the past to rest. Tom took a deep breath, the moment swelling between them, charged with potential. The music had changed again, a soft melody floating up to the sky, urging them on. Then let us do this together, Sarah. Let us face it all. The ugly parts, the good everything. Just as he finished speaking, the ground trembled ever so slightly beneath them, like the dusty reminders of their past dancing in the distance, almost mocking their newfound resolve. Tom, Sarah looked him in the eyes, a worried frown creasing her brow. If we embrace whatever comes next, there's no going back. He reached for her hand, squeezing it tight. I don't want to go back. I want to move forward with you. Whatever it takes. The sincerity between them was a palpable force, pulling them closer. Yet, doubts lingered in the edges of their minds, shadows resisting the light. Can we really handle it? She murmured, almost a whisper, uncertainty lacing her voice. I believe we can. We just need to promise each other that we won't run away again. Her nod was almost imperceptible, but it ignited a feeling in Tom that banished his fears. They were on the threshold of something monumental, teetering on the brink of either rediscovering each other or plunging deeper into past mistakes. And as they stood there, hearts racing and hands clasped, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still ahead of them. What if their honesty only uncovered deeper scars? But before he could voice his concern, Sarah took a step forward, embarking on a journey that would alter everything once more. Let us face the truth together, she declared. No more running. How far could they go with this newfound strength? Would their truth bring them back together, or would it tear them apart? Once again, the air around them buzzed with a tension that was both familiar and foreign. Tom watched as Sarah's expression shifted, the worry lines on her forehead replaced by something more resolute, a determination to face whatever came next. So where do we start? Tom's voice was tentative, like stepping onto fragile ice. Would they break through, or could they find solid ground? Maybe with the things left unsaid, Sarah suggested, her eyes reflecting a depth of thought. What about the dreams we had? The plans we once painted together? A soft laugh escaped him, bittersweet like the taste of dark chocolate. So many plans they feel like whispers from a different life now. He could picture their younger selves, mapping out futures with wild abandon, believing love could conquer all. Yeah, she said, biting her lip as if holding back a flood. But dreams don't just die. They evolve, right? Maybe now we can build something new together. Tom felt his heart swell at her words. There was something liberating about the idea of not being defined by their mistakes, but instead, using them as a foundation for growth. Let us not waste time dancing around it then. I want to know what you're dreaming of now. Sarah bit her lip, caught in thought, as if she were unraveling a cherished old book. I have this longing to travel, explore places I've read about, make memories that are more than just routine. I want to embrace life, not run from it. Her words ignited something in Tom. He thought about how both of them had put themselves in boxes, afraid and alone, yet here they were, opening up to endless possibilities. Then let us go. Let us drive until we reach a sunset we've never seen before. Let us make spontaneity our new plan. A smile broke across her face, bringing light to the shadows. I like that idea a lot, she replied, her voice light. But then her smile faded slightly, replaced with a flicker of doubt. What if our past catches up with us? What if the mistakes we made come back into play? Then we face them, he said, his tone steady. We acknowledge what happened, learn from it, and put one foot in front of the other. It felt essential to recognize that they had all the power now. I'm willing to take that risk if you are. More than willing, she whispered, leaning in as if her next words held the magic to their potential. I want to protect our future, not just from the scars of the past, but from fear itself. In that moment, as they stood close enough to feel the warmth radiating off one another, Tom could sense the shifting dynamic. It was no longer about what they lost, but what potential lay ahead. Just then, a rustling noise broke the silence. It startled them. They both turned to see an old oak tree swaying gently in the wind. A symbol of resilience, perhaps. Its roots ran deep, much like their shared history. Do you think we can weather any storm now? She asked, a hopeful question hanging in the air between them. I believe we can, he replied, feeling the warmth of her hand in his, solid and reassuring. The night deepened around them, the melody of crickets singing a backdrop to their raw honesty. Each glance, each shared memory, transformatively powerful. They both recognized they were writing a new story, one step at a time. And as they began to pull away, Sarah suddenly paused, uncertainty creeping back into her eyes. But what if it still hurts? He held her gaze, determined. Then we embrace the pain too. It's part of the journey. We can't hide from it. But together, we can move forward. The moment felt heavy, charged with unspoken feelings. Before either of them could break the tension, Tom whispered, let us set a date. A trip to wherever your heart desires. Her eyes lit up again, but then clouded with doubt. And what if it all goes wrong? Then at least we tried, he affirmed. No more running. But as they leaned in closer, the reality of their heartfelt pact loomed over them. Could they really conquer everything together? Sarah's breath hitched slightly, uncertainty still tugging at her heart. And if we fail? Tom squeezed her hand tighter, feeling the weight lift, their freedom waiting just on the horizon. Well, then we'll make sure our failures teach us to fly higher next time. Determined, they took a breath in unison, sensing the possibility of renewal. But deep down, Tom couldn't shake a lingering dread. Could the ghosts of their past truly stay buried? Or would they come crashing back like waves against the shore? And just as he was about to share the thought, a startling ring shattered the stillness, a phone vibrating in the depths of his pocket. How could something so mundane now feel so monumental? Would this interruption lead to the answers they needed, or would it be a ghost rising unexpectedly? Tom fished his phone from his pocket, its vibration jarring against the calm that had enveloped them. It was one of those moments where time split apart, stretching every second into eternity. Each ring seemed to mock the fragile resolve they had just woven, laughter echoing in the background of his own heart S. uncertainty. Should you answer it? Sarah's voice broke through, laced with a hint of concern. His thumb hovered over the screen, torn between the new path they had just started to map and the echoing calls of the past. I think I should, he stammered, forcing a smile despite the dread uncoiling within him. As he clicked the screen, a familiar voice greeted him. It was Mark, his old friend. Tom. Hey, man, you'll never believe what just happened. I think you'll want to hear this. Tom's mouth dry, a different kind of tension coiling in his stomach. What is it? It's about Sarah, Mark shot out casually, as though discussing the weather. She was talking to a mutual friend, saying she's thinking of coming back to town for a bit. Something about needing to reconnect with old friends or some stuff like that. Tom's heart skipped, a litany of emotions flooding him. It felt as if the universe had wrenched the secrets from his grasp and dangled them just out of reach. Oh, was all he could manage. Are you still cool with her? Mark asked, tone shifting. I mean, since everything that went down? Before Tom could answer, he glanced at Sarah. She wore a mask of quiet contemplation, each heartbeat between them echoing the unprocessed thoughts swirling in the air. Yeah, we're good, Tom said, keeping his gaze locked on her. We're trying to figure things out. Hey, that's great. I think you should totally reach out, man. Lots have changed since high school. Maybe rekindling something might help. Rekindling? The word tasted bitter on Tom's tongue. It's complicated. Just think about it, okay? She might have changed a lot too. Give it a try, Mark encouraged. Unaware of how the words had plunged deeper than intended, as he ended the call, a shadow fell over Tom's heart. He turned back to Sarah, the weight of unspoken truths hovering between them. Mark mentioned you might be coming back, that you're thinking about reconnecting with old friends. She finished, a flicker of something, maybe regret? In her eyes, Tom felt his breath quicken. Are you? Do you want to? Sarah's shoulders dropped slightly, as if a heavy burden pressed down on her. I don't know, honestly. There's a pull to that life. It's familiar, but her voice dipped, burdened with unanswered questions. I'm scared it might steer us away from what we're trying to build here. He stepped closer, each inch a tightening of their shared bond, their hands still clasped together. Maybe it could help. Maybe reconnecting with the past is just another way of addressing it, he offered, hoping she'd feel the honesty pouring out alongside his tangled emotions. But what if reconnecting just opens old wounds? She murmured, sorrow lacing her voice. What if we drown in memories instead of finding clarity? It felt like a ghost had whispered that last word of fear that hung between nostalgia and the heavy truth of reality. Then we'll face those wounds together, right? He suggested, his voice steadier than he felt. We can take what we learned from the past, every scar, and build stronger from it. Sarah locked her eyes on his, an understanding flickering in the depths. You're brave, Tom, and I admire that. But what if some things are better left buried? They were words heavy with history, the shadows of their past whispering against their momentum. And before either could respond, night enveloped them fully, the cacophony of crickets melding with the raw intensity of their uncertain future. Tom realized. The phone call had opened a door he wasn't sure either wanted to step through. They stood on a precipice, staring into the unknown, their journey beginning to unfurl in ways they never expected. But as Sarah took a breath, ready to share what lay deeper in her heart, a sudden rustle in the nearby bushes interrupted, the noise unsettling the air. What came next could change everything. Was their past destined to haunt them, or would it pave a way for healing? The rustling stopped, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a small, scruffy dog, mistakenly drawn from the nearby park, tail wagging like it had just found its long-lost friend. Laughter erupted between Tom and Sarah, the tension visibly lifting as they knelt to greet the unexpected visitor. Do you think he has lost? Sarah asked, running her fingers through the dog's fur. Or maybe he just needed some adventure, Tom replied, his heart lighter than it had been moments before. They exchanged a smile, the earlier weight of uncertainty giving way to spontaneous joy. He looks like a survivor, Sarah observed, her voice now laced with admiration. He has been through things, and still comes out wagging his tail. Kind of like us, huh? Tom chuckled, feeling a warmth spread through him. Yeah, we're definitely survivors. But can we really wag our tails after everything? Why not? She challenged, her eyes sparkling as she looked up at him. We're starting to understand our scars. Each one tells a story. As they gently petted the pup, something shifted in Tom. He realized their reunion wasn't merely about healing the past, but also about embracing the new. Maybe they didn't have to dive straight into the heavy burdens waiting in the shadows. They could spend time rebuilding their connection and learning to laugh again first. Okay, how about we promise to take it one step at a time? Tom suggested, meeting her gaze. We can start with this little guy. Let us find him a home together. It might just be what we need right now. Finding him a home? Sarah's smile lit up her face, igniting an old flame that had flickered away. I love that idea. It feels like a beginning, a shared purpose. Yes, Tom exclaimed, enthusiasm bridging the distance the years had placed between them. Plus, we can take him for walks, like we used to talk about, and maybe explore other things about each other in the process. Let us do it, she agreed, the vigor in her voice infectious. With that, they stood, hand in hand, their bond re-established under the blanket of stars. Soon, laughter filled the night air as they began to trim down the names they could give the lively pup, each name reflecting pieces of their personalities. Elvis, Tom offered, and Sarah laughed, shaking her head. No way. He is not an Elvis. Okay, fine. What about Rocky? He is a fighter like us. Good one. She grinned, the warmth of their interaction deepening. But I'm picturing a name that feels softer. Maybe something like Buddy or Leo. We're not just fighters. We're parts of a community. Leo it is then, Tom chuckled, watching her spirit glow. And with that, they began their stroll through the park, the little dog bounding ahead of them. The playful energy of the moment swept over them, banishing the remnants of their doubts. As they walked, the skies remained crystal clear, the stars twinkling merrily above. Tom felt the ease begin to return, the understanding that even through scars, it was possible to forge new pathways imbued with hope. Tell me more about your dreams, he urged as they made their way. With the lightness of shared laughter, Sarah spoke about some of the projects she dreamed of launching for veterans, painting images of a life filled with purpose and connection. Being out there, creating real change, that's what I love. I want to travel, to help others in need, to build something with a foundation of compassion. I can see it, Tom nodded, impressed by her passion. You were always meant to be a force. And you? She asked, looking up at him expectantly. Tom paused for a second, the memories of the past swirling in the back of his mind, professional successes that meant little without the partner he once had. Honestly, I don't know. For so long, I was just trying to stay afloat. But maybe it starts with courage. With rediscovering who I am without the ghosts chasing me. Exactly like Leo. He might be scrappy, but he has got heart. That is enough to start. As they continued to stroll, something profound began blossoming between them, the magnificence of rediscovering one another layered over the complexity of their past. When they finally reached the end of the park, the trees parted to reveal the faint glow of the town's center. As the lights shone brightly, Tom felt the presence of their fears wane like shadows diminishing at dawn. Do you think we could find someone to help us with Leo tomorrow? Sarah asked, excitement bubbling with the possibility. Definitely. But first, he said, pulling her close before they stepped into the light. Are you ready to face this reunion we've built so far? More than ever, she said, determination lighting up her features. Together, and with Leo, let us embrace every new day that comes. With that, they crossed into the warmer light, both feeling liberated, a tribute to a new beginning, a dance through fresh uncertainties, and a foundation forged anew. As they moved forward, the echoes of the past began to fade, leaving room for possibilities they had yet to explore. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.